Stop hiding your ambition. If you keep hiding it, it's going to die. This episode is just something I feel like we've been needing to record for a long time. I talk to a lot of people and we downplay our goals. Not everybody, but so many of us, especially those of us that are in the professional world, we may be successful, but we downplay what we're trying to achieve. I oftentimes hear people saying things when we say, hey, you're trying to do something, you're trying to start a business, you're trying this activity, and they'll say something like, oh, I'm just seeing where it goes. You know, it's a safety mechanism to keep everybody at arm's length, saying, I'm not accountable here. I'm not really trying anything. If I accidentally trip into something, that's great. But you know, we've learned to keep it quiet, and I don't know why this is. Ambitious people, I think, make other people uncomfortable. Let me say that again. Ambitious people make other people uncomfortable. Some people, right? So you are probably in a situation, if this resonates with you, you're probably in a situation that you are surrounded by people who are like you, in the sense that they are doing things like you do, and ambition is not their kind of thing. So that's what we want to talk about today. I want to help you at least think about this differently. Is what do you do with the ambition, and is it pride? How do we deal with it? So this is the Company of One podcast. I am Dale Callahan. I help professionals. That's my focus, is helping professionals control their career and their income to use their God-given skills. The skills come from God, and get real freedom and stop waiting on titles, promotions, degrees, bosses to tell us what we're worth, to take advantage of it right now. All right, so let's jump into it. So ambition, what do we do with it? How do we manage it without being prideful and arrogant? So number one, ambition is not pride. We've learned the arrogance and pride that we see it talks about in Proverbs in the Bible. It's a bad thing, right? It's not good to be proud. But that's different than ambition. Is a matter of fact, I think if you're not ambitious, you have some kind of pride in what you're doing. And here's the pride that we have. We have pride that we're good enough. We have pride that we have accomplished. And we're a little scared to step out there and look a fool. That's pride. You think about a child that's growing up, you know, they're trying to learn to walk. They have no pride in the fact that they fall down and bump into things. I mean, to them, they laugh at it, right? They're making mistakes all along. They haven't learned to be ashamed of their mistakes. What we have learned is to be ashamed of our mistakes. We know in the study of psychology, they know that people have different mindsets. And one of the mindsets is, everybody tells me I'm smart. And especially we see this in K through 12, right? Everybody tells me I'm smart. So since I'm smart and they think I'm smart, I don't want to try anything too far out because I don't want to destroy that reputation I have for being smart. We don't want that. So that is a fixed mindset. There's a growth mindset of I work hard. That's a different mindset. When you tell people they're working hard, then they tend to want to grow and they want to try and they want to do different things. So it's a different mindset. So my statement to you is lack of ambition or trying to hold on and not make a mistake is in fact pride. We've got it backwards. It is not prideful to go after other things. As a matter of fact, I think we're asked to, God's told us to multiply, it's a gift God's given you. He talks about it in the parable of the talent. Hiding your talent. You remember the one that said, I just dug a hole and stuck it under there and I didn't invest it, didn't try anything, and he's not treated well, right? His talent is taken away and given to somebody else. And that's what we're doing. When we have zero ambition, we're hiding our talents. And I'm not even going to go further than ambition. I'm saying if you don't have some kind of ambition to move forward to use your talent, you're lazy. So maybe that's a whole nother issue. But when we say, I just want, people will tell me, I just want stability, or I don't want to be judged for wanting more. I've had people say, I just think that looks bad. I feel like I'm a believer and it looks bad to try to want more. And look, I mean, if you're trying to just gather wealth or hold on to wealth for the wealth's sake, yeah, I mean, that's greed. That's a different, but ambition and greed are not the same thing. It's about stewardship. As a believer, as a Christian, it's about stewardship. You've been given a gift. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with it? You've been given skills. You've been given just all these things that come naturally to you. And there's so many, right? There's the other things that come to you so easily you don't even recognize what they are. Because you're like, this is super easy. Nobody cares about that. Right, that's a talent that's been given to you. It's been invested in you. And what are you doing with your investment? Would you treat your 401k this way? Would you say, well, I got that in dollars already, so I'm just going to stick it under my mattress? Well, some of you might. I don't advise that, but it's a terrible plan. It's not investing. The world needs ambitious people. We need people to lead, especially in the church. We need people to step up and lead. We need people to create. We need people to serve. Have you ever noticed in church organizations how few people there are that will step up and lead? I mean, there's a lot of people that will show up, but that's not even that. There's probably, what is it, that inside of a church, a small percentage tithe, 10% tithe, and probably that same 10% do all the work for the church. But I just mean lead, create, to serve, to set yourself out there to say, I'll handle this, I will do it, I will take responsibility. We don't have that. Ambition is not pride, it's the opposite. Lack of ambition, I think, is pride in what we are and what we do. Okay, that was a lack of ability to be in charge of our printer. So we just took control of that one. So, all right, second thing is talk about it. If we talk about things, if we don't talk about things, they will die. And what I mean is the moment you speak your goals out loud, they start to take shape. And what we don't do is we don't want to talk about them. I don't want to talk about what I'm trying to achieve. The number of people I've worked with, coached, taught, whatever, some people will be upfront about what they're trying to achieve, but many people, I almost have to beat it out of them. What are we trying to accomplish here? And I kid you not, it's like this pulling teeth to get to what's the goal. And they'll timidly comment, okay, well, the goal is, we're trying to sell this new product and, make money. And you're like, it's barely a goal and you're ashamed of it. But if you talk about it, and there's another mindset before I jump into that. There's a mindset of, if I talk about it, somebody will steal it. Somebody will steal my idea. That's a whole nother thing. That's not true. I'll just tell you really quick. Nobody will steal your idea, because the people who can make ideas happen don't need your idea. They have thousands and thousands of ideas. Your idea is not gold. There's people that can execute and people that don't execute. And the people that can execute on a goal have millions of ideas. They don't need yours. So that's not an issue. But talking about it. So the moment you speak at your goals, they start to take shape. When you hide them, they kind of decay. And you've probably had this experience. I've had this experience. You just don't talk about things. You think about it. You get excited about it in your own mind. And then sometimes you feel ashamed for being excited about it. And you start to doubt. And eventually you're like, what was the goal? What was I trying to do? The people who seem to grow the fastest are the people who talk about their goals. And I don't mean bragging. I don't mean overly sharing, that's all they talk about. But people will share what they're trying to achieve. And you look around and you can see people that have been successful that have shared what they're trying to achieve. And when you share what you're trying to achieve with some people, they're like, ignore it. Some people are like, I don't want to hear it. Other people are like, hey, I'm interested in what you're trying to achieve. And I want to ride along. I want to participate. I want to be helpful. I want to invest. And I've had all of those things. People that want to be part of what you are doing. And you're missing out by not talking about that. I understand totally. People will downplay what you're doing. People will ignore you. People will say, well, that's been tried before. I get all that. But those aren't the people. Those are not the people. What happens is when you start talking about it, you're talking about ambition, talking about what your ambitions, they kind of light a fire. And they're little embers, and you create it among other people, and you get other people excited. And Joe, that's your friend that you share it with, may know nothing about what you're trying to do, but Joe will tell one of your other friends, hey, I got a friend that's trying to do something like that. And you'll find a connection from Joe to Jeff over here that you don't know because you talked about it to Joe. Even so, Joe's an intermediary of your idea, even though he doesn't really care, doesn't really understand, but he's excited for you, because I don't know what you're doing, but you're a friend of mine, so it's cool. I'm sharing what you're doing. So that's what you need. Ideas need people. At very least, if it's a business idea, you need customers. But you probably need a lot more than that. So if you got a goal, say it. Say it out loud. Say it to someone who will not roll their eyes. And you know what? If they roll your eyes, don't care. Just, what does Jesus say? Just dust off your feet and move on. That's about how it operates. There's people that we hang around with. There's people that are great friends of ours that I'm not scared of sharing ideas with them, but there's really no point because some people just have no ambition. And I find it difficult to be around those kind of people at times because you can't talk about really things you're trying to achieve because they don't get it. They really don't get it. And so part of it is your circle, but that's another thing that we'll jump into right here. Number 3 is your circle. You can't talk ambition to everyone. Now, I don't mean you should hide it, but not everybody's going to get it. If you've ever been in a situation where people ask what you're doing, and maybe there'll be 2 or 3 guys standing around, and, yeah, I'm doing this, and you're like, hey, I'm trying to start a company that does this, and you just get these stares, like you just killed the conversation. They don't know what to say about that. Now, it's not, you might feel like they're ashamed of you, they're thinking, well, he's an idiot. They just don't know, they don't understand it. It's not their thing, right? They don't get what you're talking about. So, you can share it, but you're not going to get any warm and fuzzies from them. Some people will hear your dreams. They'll immediately tell you it can't be done. Actually, what they'll usually say, well, that's been tried before. I've seen my brother-in-law did something like that, and he just fell on his face. He lost a lot of money. Or that's not what you need to do. You'll get these people that downplay. Now, when you get that, you want to stop and evaluate, does that person have any credibility? I have this one friend, this guy was telling her this business idea, and she said, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Now, she has credibility because she's been in business and does a lot of things. Now, that doesn't mean she's right, but her words were a little bit credible, and it should have given him a reserve to say, hey, talk to me. What do you know? What are you thinking about? Why do you think that? Because you need feedback. You need feedback from people who've got experience. There's proverbs about that with many advisors, right? You need many advisors, but advisors who know what they're talking about. So you've got to get in the right circle. You need people who can fan the flame, not just dash water on it. That's one reason, I love, what we do here at the university, that we're part of the IAM program, is we're in a group of people that are constantly creating ideas. And even though we run the program, they're professionals from all over the world. And you're just watching and you're participating and you're helping. And there's just an incredible amount of energy in this. We see also in mastermind groups, for some of you may have heard that, that there's energy because there's people that are not naysayers. They are believers, and they're people who try to do things too. And so they're not killing ambition. Look, you don't need to apologize for wanting to grow. You don't even need all of the answers to their questions. But it matters this circle, it matters. And you probably have heard the statement before. You take the 5 people you hang around most and look at their average salary, look at their thoughts, look at the things, and you're probably, if you're not like them, you will be like them. And that's part of the problem when I find ambitious people is that are hiding their ambition, is they have nobody to share it with that also is ambitious. Because what happens is you'll think, well, I'm just way too ambitious. Well, no, not if you get around somebody else, that's not going to be your experience. You're going to be like, I'm shooting way too small, and maybe they've given me some things I hadn't thought about. Because if you're in the right audience, if you're right around the right people, and you need to be around the right people. So that is one of the things, if you have some ambition, you need to be doing that. So here's some practical steps. By the way, I want to, what is it? Oh, this is the quote, and I think I got the quote backwards. Attempt great things, expect great things. I think it's Taylor, the missionary, but I'm not sure I got that right. But attempt great things, expect great things. By God's power. It's not by us. I mean, so if we're out there doing this work and we're in God's will, then it's going to be blessed. But so here's some practical steps, though. Is no matter what your ambition, and you probably have some, even if you feel like you're the laziest person in the world and I just want to go to work and come back home and watch TV. You're probably not listening to this podcast anyway, so I'm not talking to you, right? But if you have some ambition and you struggle with this, I don't know how to talk about this. What you need to do is be really clear. Write down clearly the thing that you really want or what you're trying to achieve. And it sounds silly, but writing it down. As a matter of fact, writing it down with pen and paper can sometimes I love computers, and to me that's easier to type because I can't read my writing. But something about hand to eye coordination, writing it down just brings it to life. And so I've seen a lot of people, they'll have like a day journal, and they'll write in it every morning or every night, and they just write what they're trying to achieve over and over and over again. Same thing every day. It's like your memory verse. You're just writing it every day, because you got to get it in your own mind. Sometimes you're your biggest challenge, right? So write it down. Write it down. Say it. Number 2, say it. Speak it to other people. Start with your spouse. Look at people who that are mentors or friends of yours that are like, hey, you're kind of crazy. I don't understand what you're doing, but hey, I'm on board with you. That's good. They don't have to totally get it, but say it to a person who will support you. Don't worry about who you say it to. You don't have to filter. I mean, and let me just say right here, we are in a weird society where people are ashamed of growth, ashamed of success. We glorify success, right, for a lot of people, like athletes and various people, but we're ashamed if we try to do that. All right, which is weird, and we've seen this even. I think it was Mitt Romney who was running for president, who tried to downplay his own wealth, and he looked like a fool doing it because he just was out of touch with something like what the price of milk or something was. I don't know, and like that's a bad thing. And then you see people like Trump. Now you may hate Elon Musk. It doesn't matter. There's a bunch of wealthy people out there, but you may hate some of these people, but they're not ashamed of their wealth because and they don't think they're necessarily better than anybody because of their wealth, but they're like, everybody's trying to achieve wealth. They've achieved wealth. That's good. The football player that just won the game isn't ashamed of their ability to play football, are they? And we sort of expect them not to be. We have a weird sense of what we call pride. All right, so look, write it down, say it to people, talk to people. And number 3 is take visible action. Now you need to take action and take action constantly, and that's why writing it down, there's something magical there. Writing it down, but posting something, applying something, launch something, speak up, whatever you're doing, talking about it even on a tool like a social media or LinkedIn, you will find people who will just dog you, and you find some enjoyment of that because if nobody's dogging you, you're probably not doing anything. But you'll also find people like, hey, let's talk. I mean, I have just weird places. Sometimes you just post something out there and you're mentioning something, and suddenly you got people say, let's talk. People that you don't know, let's talk, because there's some common joint interest. And I've had that so many times and met so many people just by putting something out there. So number 1, write it down. Number 2, say it, speak it. Number 3, take visible action. Move toward the goal. The smallest movements. It doesn't matter. Just keep moving. Nobody's putting you on a timeline. And number 4, join a community. Join a community that expects growth. Now that doesn't mean there's a you probably don't have in your neighborhood, in your city, a membership club for people who are ambitious. We don't call them that. But there are communities. It could be groups of friends trying to do things, and it, maybe you're all ambitious and you just come together. The idea there is mastermind teams, and so I've been on them many times. And one was just a guy that said, hey, I want to get together with people who are trying to achieve things, and we met every week for years. And we would meet over Zoom. We were about 10 of us. We were all over the world. But we would meet over Zoom, and we would just share ideas, hold each other accountable to helping growth. But whatever, look for a community where people are trying to grow. You'll make new friends. You'll challenge yourself, and it will help your ambition take some fruit and grow. So, all right, so write it down, say it out loud, take some visible action, and join a community. Look, number 1, though, is just you have no reason to be ashamed for ambition. I think the lack of ambition maybe is where we should be ashamed. Just my opinion. So, it's not selfish. It is about stewardship. You're using your gifts for the good. Don't let it die in the dark. All right, so we want to help you. If you're ambitious about a business idea, by the way, if you're looking for a business idea, if I want to start something, but I'm not exactly sure where to go, check us out at dalecallahan.com/idea engine, and there's a tool and some prompts that take you about 20 minutes to go through. They help you find ideas that fit you perfectly. So if you're lacking in ambition, or you got it and you don't know where to point it, try starting there, and that's a small action. Right? Try starting and see if it leads you to the next step or beyond. All right, We'll leave it there for today. See you next time.